Good day, everybody. Brian here for quantlabsnet.com again. I'm going to show you, over the last 6 weeks when I was in Europe, I kind of compiled a mega list that you can find on my quantlabsnet.com under one of my public groups. Um, and one of the projects that I came across that I got working ah, in that can be run in the Windows WSL, the Windows Subsystem Linux. Um, I'm running it in, I think it's Ubuntu 22 or 24. It doesn't really matter. But at the end of the day, I got it running. This is a Qt project. Um, and basically, it has some very basic charting functionality. And let me show you what I mean. Okay, so the project is here on GitHub, Guru Piranha Trading Platform PP. Now I'm going to put this in my blog post, so you'll find that in the description, and it'll take you over to the quantlabsnet.com website. Now, there's a lot of things I could talk about here. If you're wanting to build out your own trading platform, your own even HFT trading platform, starting and some kind of interface is going to be part of that. This is a Qt project built around Qt. People will have issues with the licensing of Qt. If you're building it for yourself and only yourself, I think Qt is fine. If you're trying to turn it into some kind of commercial product, yeah, you got to work with the licensing on Qt, and that can get fairly expensive. Other options out there I've looked at were Scichart, Lightning Chart, and a bunch of other commercial products, but they're very expensive, and I don't think a lot of people are really wanting to make that kind of purchase to build out these kind of systems. So I went with the open source, as much open source as I could find. This is on the only more recent ones that I found that actually runs. Here's the problem with it. It's built out 4 years ago. Um, and it seems to work okay. I can't guarantee it down the road as they change C++ and maybe Qt. I don't know. So this could break it at some point. Anyways, how to build it out is pretty simple. Um, so they're using FinHub and libcurl. Now the data does not work. All I care about is just showing you the interface. So this is fairly well documented. So uh, in your your Linux, whatever you use. In my case, I'm using Ubuntu 22. It's it's easy, standard what most people use. It seems to work okay on Mac as well. Windows itself, raw, I don't know. You're better off just to keep everything in Linux, make your life easier. So what you need to do, because you can, and they say to use Qt Creator, I've got it working in this environment here. I can just show you. It's just, I don't know, this is the problem of Qt uh, Creator and all that. Depends upon how you work with your tool set uh, in your Linux, but I got Qt Creator working. That's going to be free. So you can do it this way, fill out this way, or you can basically use the sudo apt get install and then follow these instructions as well. So let me show you what I have in the actual, well, everyone's going to want to know what this thing looks like. So I'll get that in a minute. So basically what you can have is you can have two portfolios stored. It has a certain subset of assets that um, out of the box you play with, and then you can add them to your portfolio. I'll show you that in a minute. This is the part I could not get working. All this I can get working, all the different options. Parting I couldn't get working because of the data. I don't know if it's a FinHub. I don't know. At this point, I don't really care. But I'll tell you what I plan to do if I use this as a demonstration moving forward. I don't know. But I'll tell you another option in a little while. But I'll show you this project as it stands. You can see you have a trading tab, so you can have all the standard things you get with trading platforms, trading view as well. Then you get a news tab. This works actually. I'll show you that. A strategy tab, which is quite interesting to look at, and then all the external libraries as well. So they used Q custom plot for charting. Now I played around with the charting. There's OpenGL, which is really mind blowing what it can do. It just depends on what you're wanting to do with your charting and your interface. So if you look at Q custom plot, I don't know. So it's using this QTC plus and the QT plotting. I do know that can be part of the commercial edition of QT, so that might be a no-go for a lot of people. I don't know. Um, but it's very interesting how they built this out. So again, QT, you let me know in the comments if you're okay with the QT or do you want to go with the other software packages that I mentioned, which are much, much more pricier than this. Okay, so let me show you the demo. So I've shown you the pieces here. I'm going to show you how you build it now from within this description here on the repository. So what we do is we download doing the git clone, as I've shown in another video, the repository. So it's git clone. I'll just show you this. Just so you do git clone, and then the repository itself, which is copied here. This is the simplest way to do it without a fancy IDE and all that. All right. So, but you could still, you know, work with Visual Studio for, or even maybe VS Code, depending upon what you want as well. Anyway, so you build it, as it said. Here's the commands here that you would need to run in Ubuntu. This is the easiest you can get, really. Then you do the build, uh, do make dir build, and you move into it, and then you just use the make, and trading platform, the program name, the bin file. So essentially, using this right here to get Qt5 installed into your system, you should be able to get qmake running along with the make J8. One thing I'll mention about when it comes to C++ and Qt, Qt basically bastardizes the C++ language. I've worked with it enough to know that it drastically limits some of the commands you can use within C++. It may have changed since I've done it, and that's been many years ago. But I like true open source. I'm going to maybe give you another option down the line on it, or I might do it in this video. So hold tight. So, anyways, that's a problem with Qt in itself outside of the commercial edition. Um, so you have this special compiler, qmake, which is kind of like Qt's version of building C++. So that could be a problem out of the gate for a lot of people. So out of that, what will eventually happen is you'll have a bin file created, which is your standard exe in Windows. So with that in mind, let me just see where we go for that. I think it's under build. Okay. So if I look at that, yeah, there's so eventually it will uh, build complete project. I had no problem doing that. I believe you might be requested to do make test as well. Can't remember that. But anyways, to run it, and this is the big ta-da moment that most people want, is this. So it's going to load up. Now, essentially, I've created two portfolios here. So I'll just show you. Create portfolio, you name it, you give it the initial capital, trading capital, if it's a simulation. Again, this is all the source codes there in the GitHub repository. And then you can move over your docs from the beginning. So I'm going to relaunch this. It's a very crude program and it's not very sophisticated. So let's work with one of the uh, portfolios I created. So in this case, we have here, I've added stock ACWW and AEM. Okay, so technically with the data, it should load up the chart and the most recent data. Obviously, it's not working because for whatever reason. And again, what you could do is then you can kind of recode everything to use something like I was going to say Redis, but a Valkey as a data store to read it in. And at the same time, you can build out a stream that'll capture the latest data and then just push it into Valkey or Redis, Valkey being the new fork of Redis, and then be able to populate the chart. Now, apparently, The charting is very capable, 1 day, 3 day, again, and again, this is very simple. But it just shows you kind of having a open source, free way of building a simple trading interface with kind of some of the basics in there. So again, you can see here, I'm using AEM, which is Angico Eagle mines. So as I said, the news work. So we'll just bring up a standard browser. Um, can't remember how that works, but that was working. Anyways, let me just show you the trade submission. So in here, oh, so I guess I've got, yeah. So somewhere the news would pop up, but it does kind of work. Let me just see here. Well, let's just let me do it again. So go under news, bring this up, see if it changes the Linux, whatever. No big deal. Okay, so again, it's very crude, very primitive, as you can tell. It's a very interesting project, I find. Okay, so under the trade here, as I said, you got your symbol, whatever else you want, your strategy. So you can actually build out a set of strategies using some kind of framework from within the code base here. It's an interesting project. I'll just leave it at that. You got your buy, sell, whatever other things you want to add in, the market order types, your quantity, price with the quantity, limit price, so on, and the timing on the position you want to put out. Again, you can easily automate this if there's already a framework, or you can build it out your own. As I said, there's a news tab here. I think it's just using, was it FinHub or something? Let's see here. Yeah, so it brings up the news for Costco. So as I said, that kind of works. And then we have the strategies themselves. So again, um, this would be an interesting project to work from the base. So in here we have the different types of strategies or technical indicators you can use. So again, I don't know with the data and on top of the charting if it works or not. I'm assuming it should work. The problem is the data source, I think, is a problem here, because it is a 4-year-old project. So if you're willing to go in, recode it, redeploy it with a modern way of downloading data, Bob's your uncle, as I say. It's just one of the other options. Now, that's the entire project there, as I showed you. Okay, so in here, just gonna break this. So, as I said, charting's big deal. Now, I found another one here. Uh, this one from this guy here, Subhajit Guha, creating application. Now, somebody found this for me, so thanks to them on it. They know who they are. Um, but this is a very interesting project, and I want to show you the um, the project itself. So I'm going to go to the top of the repo here. In here, you'll see the YouTube uh, video demos that he's built out. So the one I want to show you here is really cool, very cool. So just go under video, popular. Obviously, it's going to be this one. So I'm going to let it run. I'm going to turn off the sound. This is about 6 minutes, just to show you what this is very capable of. So this is fairly modern. I'm not sure if this will run on Linux. If it could, this would be very sophisticated. Um, and it kind of works like with the different panels within a Visual Studio or Eclipse. This is an excellent demo of an interface that I'd love to get running. Um, so basically, you have your different intervals. It's a very slick interface with the source code, and you can see all the panels detach. Anyways, I'll put this in my blog post so you can watch it completely. Anyways, so there's that. It's very cool. Anyways, let's go over what this person found who kind of reverse engineered it and took a look at it. Um, First things first that needs to be understood about this project is right here. Um, okay, so he's built out an engine. I'm not sure if this is his own engine. And again, what needs to be understood is the age of these projects. So again, this is open source. I don't know what licensing is about if you were to use this. But if someone got it this working in today's time, I'd be very interested to hear about it. Let me know in the comments or just reach out to me via my website, which I should mention here before I forget. Okay, so again, if you want to know what I do with whatever interface I work with, whatever project for future HFT system or trading system done in C++, just come over here to the Learn tab at quantlabsnet.com. Go under here and fill out your info. You get on my email list, and you'll get my recent high level the components that goes into an HFT system, high frequency trading system, in only C++. And then you get on my email list, and then you'll get my email, and we can go back and forth on the contact via email. All right, let's go back to this very cool project. Uh, so many tabs here, it's crazy. But okay, so here we are. So what needs to be noted here, we have first the Hazel engine. Now, when you look at this is an Apache 2 license, so I think it's fairly friendly. So he's kind of worked on this lately, 9 months ago. So he's kind of maintaining it 4 months ago. That's a good sign. I'm not sure if this is his own gaming engine because the trading application is built on top of this. Um, and I have to say this is pretty cool. Uh, it looks like he's got some good descriptions on this. Okay. So there's the trading app as well. So this guy could probably maybe already hired at a big company. I mean, I've never seen anything like this. So again, uh, that may be Windows specific. We don't know. Anyways, so there's that's the engine that he's built his trading application off of. So if you go under here and look for his trading application under all the repositories, right here, this one right here. So he's updated it in 2023, November, almost a year ago. So that's C++. You can see here. Let's take a look at it. So cool thing is he's got a Visual Studio Solution file for it. I can get it running because, well, I'm coming back into the world of C++ and .NET and all that because I've been spending so much time in Java, sorry, in Python. And before that, I was Mr. Eclipse in Java. We're going back 10 years over that length of time. So be coming back into Visual Studio, C++ and all that. It's a interesting story. Anyways, person that kind of found the GitHub repository and all this stuff said that the data is within a sandbox. Okay, so meaning um, the data here is an JSON file. Now that is fairly easy to get around because, as you know, you can easily write um, using, let's say, the new Redis fork, Valkey, that has a data store in there, and you could probably on the fly turn it into JSON data and then have snapshots of the data so that your so-called trading application I'm showing you here can update on the fly as well. So I don't think it's real time. And I don't know. I don't know if it's real time or not, but it'd be interesting if it was, because I'm going to talk about the different options when it comes to charting and interfaces, GUI interfaces, graphical user interfaces. But anyways, this is a very cool project, I have to admit. So he's got this trading platform, full on description in there. Again, I'll put this in the what will probably become the mega project of user interfaces, charting, and all that. So essentially, if somebody can get this running, reverse engineer it, tool, let me know. I'd be interested to hear from you about that. Put it again in the comments or just reach out to me. Uh, as I said on my website, just go to quantlabsnet.com, go to learn, get yourself signed up, and then I'll know who you are. Just reach out to me that way if need be, because I know that a lot of people don't like to publicly talk, which is fine by me. Um, so there's that as a challenge to anybody out there. Um, all right, so let's talk about the different options out there for building out a Linux-friendly interface with um, the the true open source, or close to open source as we can get. I'm going to show you some of the options that I know for charting. The first one is Lightning Chart. This is very expensive. Depending upon what kind of license you want, this is going to exceed over $1,000. Okay, there's high charts as well, which I played with. But with Lightning Chart, this is more specific for um, JavaScript, Python, .NET, but no C++. Okay, and again, the pricing can get very expensive depending upon what one you want. In here, you have a trading option as well, specific for trading. The visuals on this charting package is unbelievable. Another one that I know is called Scichart as well. Um, so this one's quite good as well. Sorry, Scichart. I've corresponded with the founder of this company as well. I would say Lightning Chart and Scichart are kind of primary competitors against each other. Again, it's very expensive. It's depending upon what you want to do. If you're going to build a commercial platform with it, use it for yourself. Obviously, the costs go down, but it's still going to run you quite a bit. And I think there is no specific C++, but there's a JavaScript, and I do know a lot of HFT shops now use JavaScript as the front end, which would make sense if you can run it within a browser. WPF, which is kind of, I don't know if that dated. That's .NET apps for iOS and Mac, and then Android as well. So they've got the mobile down as well. The pretty impressive charting library as well. Something I'd recommend as well. So if you don't want to spend the thousands of dollars there, the next best is to do something. I'm going to show you what I've investigated. We're going back way back in the time. Okay. Let me just show you this project. So again, we've talked about Qt earlier. Qt can be a heavy restricted license. But for yourself, you're fine. If you want to go beyond that, then you got to look at the commercial options. So if you don't want to do that, one library that I've always liked that's true GUI, graphical user interface, is wxWidgets. It's 100% open source. Not a lot of people know about it, and it's pretty impressive. Like you got Mac OS. I believe it can be somewhat friendly towards mobile as well, but it's true open source. So the distribution is quite good. Now I've done videos on this years ago on WX widgets, but the problem is there's not specific charting for finance built into this, but there's an option. I'm going to show you the other option that I know of. It's called uh, Chart Director, but it's Chart DIR. So Chart Director basically is commercial, but it's fairly affordable. Okay, it's fairly affordable, meaning a couple $100. So depending upon what language you want to work with, it does have some pretty cool capabilities for charting. Uh, so that's all built around the programming language you want. So here you got specific to C++, you have Python, Java, .NET, and the like, even Perl. Anyway, so if you go into the chart directory, the cool thing about it is under the finance, you got all the standard charts that you would want. The one that would be specific for futures, high frequency, is these surface charts. All the other high-end commercial ones have them, more expensive ones, but they're just more slick. and they can move around, and it's more impressive if you want to impress somebody. This one's a little more basic, but for the price, it gets the job done. All right, so you can see it has all kinds of charting capabilities, but in there, um, let's just see. So as I said, you're gonna buy whatever language you want. You can buy a package, a specific license for all the different supported languages in Scichart. The cool thing is, the most you'll ever pay is like $800 or 750 for everything. That includes the distribution license as well. That's pretty good. Where you could easily spend in the 5 to 10,000 with the lightning chart, probably the side chart as well. So very important to know that. So again, you're going to get everything that I mentioned already have annual licenses. So this one's probably the most economical one if you don't really care about the slickness of the charting. And the other thing about Scichart, as I said, is you have now a C++ version. And this can run both in Windows and in Linux. And it can also run in Mac if you want. But the only libraries it supports for the type of charting, I mean, I'm going to show you the finance. I've shown this on my video before on my YouTube channel. But in here, you can have it running either a Qt, which I've already mentioned, like the challenges of it on the licensing, or MFC, which is a Microsoft Foundation class for .NET, and that's legacy. Okay, because pretty well everything is pretty well going into the world of JavaScript. I mean, everything's going to be run through the browsers, how it is. Um, but if you want to go old school, it's there for you. Now, if you don't want that, then your only other options is Qt. So it's going to come back to the same problem as I showed earlier in this app here, the trading platform EP, because that's Qt as well. All right, so be aware of that. But this is a pretty economical option if you want the commercial and the support for desktop apps. Okay, so let me see if I can find the finance. Okay, here we go. So here's the real-time apps. So let me just run this little video here. Um, so these are real-time apps. It's pretty quick, as you can see here. It's pretty good actually. And then we have somewhere here the financial charts. This is very impressive. Again, it's stripped down, it's minimalistic, but for what you pay, it's pretty good. So here you have something like it supports like 40 different technical indicators, your chart, all that fun stuff. Okay, and as I said, there's both the C plus for C plus plus or Java. Sorry, for C plus plus, it's going to be Qt. That's your only option. All right, so that is tool in itself. All right, so I've shown you the price. I've shown you how it works. I'm not going to get into that. And yes, it does run on Linux. One other thing I will say about the support here, it's very good. I mean, you have a chart director forum, and if you got problems, even if you're testing, you can post stuff in here. And the I guess again, we went back years ago. He's out of Hong Kong, and he'll get back to you really fast, and he'll give you a full-on description of your issue, even if you never paid for the product. That is pretty impressive, if you ask me, just on its own. Okay, so now I've shown you Chart Director. Now, again, I don't work for any of these firms. I don't work for any of these commercial products. I don't get kickbacks at all. I'm just telling you what I like, what I've seen over the years for charting, specifically for the world of C++. Now, going back to a video I put out, so if you look up both the wxWidget, which is pure open source, and it's a full-on GUI library. Okay. I've shown in my own YouTube channel years ago, and I'm sure it has not changed. If I look up wxWidgets, okay, on good old YouTube, what you'll find here are tons of examples of just playing around with wxWidgets. You can see it's 8 years ago or 4 years ago. Okay. So as I said here, why I prefer open source wxWidgets C++ over Qt restrictions. I've already explained them in this video. Um, so in here, we have your wxWidgets and all these other kind of utilities they have. I don't know if they still use them in the current edition of wxWidgets, but if you just want to stay in the world of Linux, including your software development in Linux, these might be interesting projects to look at because you have code blocks as an IDE as well instead of Visual Studio only in the realm of Linux because there are people out there that do that. Okay, so one of the things I want to show here is merging the Scichart with wxWidgets now. So the only commercial you'd have is not Scichart, the chart director. Okay. So I have a video on that as well. So let me see if I can find it. So here you go. Thought I had it. Anyways, I do have a video demonstrating that. Let's see if this might be it. Uh, but I do know there is a video showing you how to do that. Now from instructional, okay, let me just close some of these. Okay. What you can do is you can go in, just do your Google thing. So if you look for WX widgets and a chart director, they give you instruction how to merge the two together. Okay. So in here, WX chart director using chart director and WX widgets together. So it does play nice with each other. I have confirmed years ago that once you build your WX widget, you can implement your charting into WX widgets using chart director. So this is like, oh, and again, you can see it's 2018, but it should still work. I mean, again, I'm no expert on it, but it's a nice combination, which is open source minus chart director, which is fairly cheap, as I said. And yeah, let me just show you the prices again. So again, let's just say you wanted C++ and C++ only. The pricing, uh, you can get it pretty cheap. So if you want, let's say C++ only, uh, let's see here. I think it's as low as $99. So chart directed developer license. So you can play, sorry, 99 bucks. Like that's pretty low compared to the other options I've given you. Might not be fancy, but it works. And the other thing is it will work on a BSD as well. So it won't work with open BSD, but it'll work with free BSD if you want to move from Linux to BSD. And same with WX, which should work on BSD as well. So lots of options there. So I've now shown you a basic charting GUI system application that runs on Linux using Qt with basics. You can use that. If you want to go really slick, you have JavaScript, which is probably the more modern way to do things using JavaScript for your front end and your coding. I haven't looked at JavaScript personally. I'm not a huge. I have spent months trying to learn and implement JavaScript, and I can tell you, many people don't like JavaScript. It's just the wild west, and it just there's no real standards there. And I avoid JavaScript like the plague. That's all I can say. I'd rather do it everything I want to do in Python because it's a little more better standards in place. Anyways, there's that as an option. Again, you can do it in JavaScript or sorry Java as well, or C++. Now, again, um, I think if you're trying to do what I'm doing to be in line with what HFT shops do for career, you probably want to build everything in Linux. If you really want to impress them, do it in BSD. Also, uh, as well, um, do everything as much as you can in C++. And the thing is, with WX widgets, it plays nice with everything. Uh, it doesn't give you the restrictions that Qt will give you as well. And then using something like the chart director, you'll get a basic interface on top of all the fancy things that WX widgets gives you as well. That's how I envision things moving forward for myself. I do like um, this project here, this trading platform PP as an option, but again, QT. So, as I said, this is where it gets very, very, very important for the viewer. And I know I've spent uh, over half an hour explaining everything. What needs to be done is first, as I keep saying, if you're really serious about doing this, you have to join my email list. Things are going to go up in price as we move forward. Just to put that out there. Um, so there's that. And that's one of the best ways I can communicate one on one with people as well, because we're getting some very advanced developers in my opt ins and executives and da da da, all that stuff. So, what we need to do as a early community that will go eventually paid, we need to set direction. We need to set standards as of next split A's, really, right in the next week. So today's October 10th, 2024. So what needs to be done is which way would you go? Would you want to use a Qt application? Do you want it to be on only on Windows? Do you want it to be Linux friendly? Are you wanting to use one of the more expensive options like a Scichart or a Lightning chart? And are you willing to pay for that on your own if you were to follow the path on what I'm doing to do that? The other thing is, or would you rather stick with something that's more true open source using something like wxWidgets and just do the search, do your own research on that with wxWidgets in C++. And it's the closest graphical library I've seen that's kind of together without having to do a lot of hand coding using wxWidgets on top of combining it with, as I said, chart director as well. Those are all the options we have. So which would you go with? Personally, I would rather go the wxWidgets way and leave it at that and just try to build out. Can I do wxWidgets? Am I now going to do it in Visual Studio on Windows and deploy it onto a Linux friendly uh, WSL, or do I do it on Windows itself, or do I develop it for Mac? I don't know. But me personally, the most economical way is to get the licensing very cheaply with Chart Director combined with wxWidgets and move forward. But again, it's really hard to turn around and say, "Ooh, this one project here, this trading application, um, is cool. This one as well as and this one as well, the QT one, this trading platform PP is pretty cool. Which way would you go? Is the question. Let me know in the comments. Because once I start, I'm not reversing it, unfortunately. It's just that's how I am. I like to propel myself forward all the time and not, ooh, I made a mistake. I want to go with this. But logically, from my experience with the 10 plus years behind me, sticking, as I said, to the closest capability with Linux, as I said, with an HFT shop on top of um, the wxWidgets and the side chart may be a good option. I don't know. You tell me, and we shall talk to you later. So don't forget, if you want to continue the story, because I'm not putting a lot of these videos out on step by step on YouTube. This is just to get you into this right here on the Learn tab on quantlabsnet.com. Okay. So again, opt in to continue learning and my journey to build out a system like this. Even if I screw up, the knowledge acquired from this can get you a pretty nice job if that's the path you want to go as well. All right. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Over.